final thing before we go, we got to get Rick's picks. Rick, how did you do on Saturday, UFC Macau?
I went 6-3.
What? Not that
I'll tell
great.
you what I whiffed on.
Okay.
I whiffed on Kung Lee, the main event. Absolutely put Rich Franklin out. Completely whiffed. I also missed on Urshitani and Lineker. Great fight by Lineker.
Didn't I pick that fight? Didn't I pick Lineker?
I think you said Lineker,
yeah.
And then I missed on Gomi and Danzig. A great close fight. I thought Danzig maybe did enough, but I thought Gomi edged him out, and that was the right decision, in my opinion. And I had picked Danzig going in.
All right, so 6-3.
Yep,
Now,
6-3.
Now, there's a lot of talk online about people saying that you don't make them money. What's going on here? It's all very confusing.
Let me address that.
Okay.
So the first thing is, a lot of people say, oh, you only pick favorites, and you're not going to make money that way. That's false. You don't make money betting on bad values. For example, I'll give you an example. If you get John Jones at -200, meaning for every 100 you put, for every 200 you put, you get 100 back. That's a good value. Even though he's the favorite, that's a good value. And on the opposite side of that, let's say you get Stephan Bonner at +2,000. That's also a good value. But Stephan Bonner at +500, that's not a good value. It's all about value. It doesn't matter if somebody's a favorite or an underdog. It's just how much value there is in that betting line, if that's easy to understand. So betting on favorites is going to pay off in the long run as long as you bet on the right favorites. And I'll give an example. In the last Fuel card, we had Struve and Stipe Miocic. Struve was the underdog coming into that fight, and I picked him because I thought that fight was 50-50. There was value in the underdog. Even though I thought Miocic had a 50% chance, there was value in the underdog. Whereas these other fights that I'm picking the favorites, there is no value in the underdog. And that's how I'm picking. So as long as you accurately represent the value of the favorite, then you will not go broke that way. And the other thing to say is, you shouldn't be, if you're betting, you don't want to bet the same amount on somebody that you're very confident in and not confident in. You want to bet more on the fight that you're confident.
Right.
So that's the way that you don't go broke betting on favorites. You get good value and you bet hard on it if that's something you're very confident about. So that's all I have to say about that.
Like Forrest Gump. Right? Good breakdown. Okay, what are your picks?
Okay.
And try not to go too long here. We've already overstayed
I'll run
our
through
welcome.
these. The first fight, the main event, we've got GSP and Condit. GSP is a favorite, -330. Condit is +270. I really like GSP in this one. I think that he's not going to look rusty. Ring rust is not going to be an issue for him because he's one of the hardest workers in MMA. He'll come in ready. I don't think the knee is going to be an issue either. I think he's one of those athletic freaks that's just going to recover right away, and it's not going to be a problem. So the GSP of old is going to be the same GSP we see. He's going to be able to control where the fight goes. He's going to look good on his feet. He's going to compete with Condit on his feet, and he's going to control the fight on the ground if he chooses to take it there. So I'm very confident in GSP on this one. The line of -330 isn't great, but it's pretty good. So I'd make a play on GSP on this one.
Interesting.
Another thing to keep an eye on is Condit inside the distance is +638. So if he's going to win, if you think he's going to win, that might be something to look at because that's his path to victory. He's going to knock GSP out or he's going to get grinded on, which is what I see. GSP is either going to outpoint him on the feet and control him on the ground, win a decision, or Condit will take him out. But I'm definitely heavy on GSP.
All right.
So that's an example of me picking a favorite, but I think it's a good value.
And by the way, we've got Rory Cregan on Twitter saying, tell Rick to start giving a running total plus or minus that you would be if you bet $1 per pick. That'll settle all arguments.
Right, but it doesn't, because that's what I'm trying to say.
All right.
Like, you don't want to put $1 on every fight. Some
Right.
you're more confident,
Sure.
some you're not.
GSP, you're confident in.
Right, exactly. That's not, you don't want to bet the same amount across the board. That is how you will go broke betting on favorites.
Gotcha.
But if you're confident in a favorite, you put more money on it. And if you're confident in underdog, it's going to pay even more. It's all about value and confidence.
All right. What do you got next?
The next one's Kampmann and Hendricks.
Yeah.
Kampmann's the underdog, plus 125. Hendricks is minus 145. I absolutely love Kampmann in this. Can't believe he's an underdog. I think that on the feet, it's no question. Kampmann is an extremely technical, extremely powerful boxer, kickboxer. Great hands, great feet, dangerous in all aspects of striking. Whereas Hendricks a little more conventional, plant my feet, throw a bomb. I think that if it stays standing, Kampmann's going to take him apart. It's not even going to be close in terms of a striking match. Where I get a little worried is Hendricks is very aggressive. He could turn this into a wrestling match. That said, Kampmann's takedown defense is as good as it can get for somebody who's not a wrestler by trade. For somebody who's predominantly a striker, his takedown defense is very, very good. And he's also very good at getting off his back if he gets there. So I have the utmost confidence in Kampmann in this one. I really like him here.
Ooh.
I can't believe he's an underdog.
I can't believe this fight is flying under the radar so much. Great fight.
Amazing fight.
Yeah.
One of my favorites of the year. This is going to be great. I think that Kampmann's going to take this one.
All right.
The next fight is Francis Carmont and Tom Lawler.
Filthy Tom Lawler.
Filthy Tom. The way I see this is one to put Carmont over. They're kind of feeding Lawler to Carmont to try and put him over the top, put him into contention. And I think that is what's going to happen. I think that Lawler's really tough. He's one of those guys that's not great at anything, but he's good at everything. He kind of just hangs in there. He's super tough. Nobody really destroys him, but he doesn't really destroy anybody either. Whereas Carmont has looked extremely athletic, extremely powerful, extremely good grappler. This is one of those fights where it's the test. It's if you beat Tom Lawler, you're ready for the next step. And I think that's what's going to happen. I don't love the line on this. Carmont is minus 275. Lawler is plus 235. I think it's a decent line, but it's not great. Similar to GSP Condit. It's not one that I love. So I am taking Limitless in this, though.
You are taking what?
Limitless. Carmont.
Oh, yes. Okay. Sorry. It's not like people throw that name around where it's like a household name, you know?
Well, that's a pretty sick nickname. So
right. Yeah,
I thought I'd get it out there.
All right. No limits. Yeah. All right.
Next fight, Hominick and Garza. This is an interesting one. I think this is a walking papers fight. Both of these guys are not looking great in their last couple of fights. But I think that Hominick's boxing will be the difference in this one. He's much better on his feet than Garza. Garza has a reach advantage, but I don't think that's going to come into play. Hominick can get inside. He showed against Roop that he's able to get inside taller guys and land his boxing. I think that Garza's been a little overrated in the UFC because of how amazing his wins have been. He pulled the flying knee against Pai Zhao, and he had the flying triangle against Yves Jabois. Close enough. That was pretty good.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Way better than the people who get paid to do the talking.
So due to how spectacular those wins have been, I think that he's become a little overrated. I don't think he's that good that he should be fighting with Hominick, who's a guy who pretty recently had a title shot and also fought Korean Zombie. So I think that Hominick's going to take this one. The numbers on it, minus 310 for Hominick, plus 255 for Garza. Again, don't love Hominick. I'd honestly probably stay away from this one just because Hominick's shown an ability to get clipped. He's very hittable. He's been rocked in his last couple of fights. Eddie Yagin put it on him in the last fight, very early until he gassed out. He was beating Hominick up on the feet. So I'd probably stay away from this altogether just because Hominick's shown he's hittable. But I think he's going to win.
Huge fight for Hominick.
I think it's for both. It's make or break.
Yeah. It is very important. I mean, think about where Hominick was last year, this year. I mean, he really needs this win. He hasn't won in a while. He hasn't won since the Roop fight, right?
I think that's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
The opponents have been tough, but
yeah, I mean, he fought Aldo. I mean, last fight, I mean, a lot of people thought he'd beat Yagin, but that was a great fight. One of the fights of the year.
Amazing fight.
Yeah.
And this is the last one I'm picking, the last one of the main card. Costa Philippou versus Nick Ring. This is one of those.
Interesting fight.
I think this is very similar to the Carmont Lawler fight. Nick Ring's one of those guys who's kind of well-rounded, hangs around, but doesn't really excel in any one thing that completely puts people away. He's found a way to edge people out on the judges' cards. Some people thought he lost some of those fights, but I think that Philippou's been steadily rising since he come into the UFC.
Yeah.
His boxing just looks so super sharp. He looked great in his last fight. They have some common opponents, and he looked better against them. I think this is going to be a showcase fight for Philippou. I think that he's going to completely outclass Ring on the feet, stuff the takedowns, and either knock him out or win a decision. So this is a pretty good line. I like this one. Philippou is minus 245, and Nick Ring is plus 205. I'm always a little nervous with Nick Ring just because the judges seem to like him for whatever reason. But I think that Philippou is going to look spectacular in this one, and I think he's going to take the win. So at minus 245, pretty good for Philippou.
Nick Ring, by the way, training at TriStar Gym for this fight. I don't know if you know that. We're actually seeing footage or we just saw footage of Philippou versus Court McGee, and that's the opponent that Nick Ring just beat, Court McGee. So, so you're going with Philippou.
Correct.
All right. So to recap, give us the rundown.
Let's
five
run
guys.
it down. GSP.
Yep.
Kampmann. Love him.
Love him.
Carmont.
Limitless.
Hominick.
Yep.
And Philippou.
People very upset about what you said about Pablo Garza, looking to shut you up on that one. But those are Rick's picks for UFC 154. Goes down live on pay-per-view this Saturday from the Bell Center in Montreal. The return of GSP versus Carlos Condit. It is 4:30. That means we have gone 3 hours and 30 minutes. That means we have reached the end of the program. I want to make one last note before I tell Isaac to hit the music. Just got this word from my good friends at Fuel TV that if you saw that TriStar show, Training Day with the TriStar team, GSP, all that good stuff, that was last Monday. Well, they're doing another one, Training Day Inside the Black Zillions, and it premieres Wednesday, November 28th at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 Pacific, live on Fuel TV. So check that out. Fuel TV doing a lot of good stuff over there in the world of television. Here, in the world of the internet, we just had a show for the ages, and I'm so proud to be a part of it. Isaac, you can hit my music. November 12th, 1993, McNichols Sports Arena, Denver, Colorado, UFC 1. If that event never happened, if Hoist Gracie never won, if the guys in the middle, from the Colemans to the Severins to the Coutures to the Chemos to the Tank Abbotts, to the Lorenzos, to the Franks, to the Danas, to the GSPs, to the Matt Hugheses, and I'm not really going in order here, but you get my drift. The Anderson Silvas and the John Joneses and the Junior Dos Santoses and the Rich Franklins and the BJ Penns and the Dominic Cruzes and the Uriah Fabers and everyone in between. If it wasn't for all those people, there would be no MMA Hour, there would be no MMAfighting.com, and we owe them so much for making this sport what it is today, and for making us so proud to be a part of the sport. And it all started 19 years ago today. So we have to thank Art Davey for reaching out to Rorion Gracie, and we have to thank Campbell McLaren for pitching his boss, who he doesn't like, Bob Meyerowitz, to give this thing a shot. To David Isaac, who he said was his right-hand man and a big part, and we're sorry we couldn't get him on the show. to hoist Gracie to winning it all. Kathy Long, she may not have been the greatest announcer, but she was there and she was a big part of it as well. And good luck to her as she makes a return to MMA. And for Henner and Hero and Gracie doing what they're doing, congratulations to them for keeping the legacy alive. We will see you next week. Peace. I'm out of here.
First Ultimate Fighting Championship. I hope you had a wonderful time. Thank you very much for coming. We'll see you next time.